Now introduce our first speaker, Barbara.
Oh, you guys, I'm a little nervous. Hi, everybody. My name is Barbara. I'm an addict. How's everybody? Let's get this. Keep myself going here. I have a little timer. And thanks, Roger. First, I want to say thank you, Roger, for asking me to speak tonight. It's an honor to be here. Welcome to anybody who's new or coming back. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that we're all here tonight. I'm glad I'm here. When some of the things that really helped me when I first got to Narcotics Anonymous was listening to the readings, and I didn't necessarily understand any of it, but just letting it kind of wash over me, this language, this new language of recovery, right? And so, like in Who's an Addict, it's like the getting and using and finding ways and means to get more. That's my story, right? That's what my whole life was about. And what is the Narcotics Anonymous program? It kind of explained the program, like what is it? It's a fellowship or society of men and women for whom drugs have become a major problem. Okay, I'm supposed to be here. We are, right? We are recovering addicts who meet regularly to help each other stay clean. Well, I'm not sure how that works, but apparently we're supposed to meet regularly. And this is a program of complete abstinence from all drugs, right? I needed to hear that. And because I'm kind of slippery like that. Slippery like an eel, that's it. And then, of course, the 12 steps. My story is that both of my parents were addicts. They used my whole life. And of 5 kids, 4 of us were addicts. My brothers died of this disease. One was 46 when he died, and the other one was maybe 54. But some of us, 2 of us, there's 3 siblings left, and 2 of us are in recovery. You'll hear more about my brother Bill a little later. So growing up, we didn't talk about what was going on in the house. In fact, we were told, don't talk, what happens in this house stays in this house, right? So that tells you it's messed up, right? It's messed up. And we didn't talk about things that were really going on. We never shared feelings. If you were upset about something that had happened last night, you did not talk it because you're trying to make me feel bad. Don't talk about it, right? And it wasn't safe. I just really got the message that it wasn't safe to talk about things that were really going on. So I have a long history. I didn't get clean until I was 52. I didn't know people who used like me got clean. I didn't know anybody who used like me who got clean. But everything I used, and I used lots of different substances over the course of my using, everything I used, I always used to the excess. I always used way too much. Whoever I was with, I was using more than everybody else because that's kind of what I saw growing up, and I didn't know that people drank wine or something casually. Or I thought the whole purpose of drugs was to get to feel different. And the other thing was I was not comfortable in my own skin. I didn't feel good about myself. I wanted a buffer between me and the world, between me and you. And I thought I was getting away with a lot of stuff. I didn't think anybody knew. I was loaded most of the whole time because I needed something just to make it okay for me to kind of go through the world. I was married and I didn't know who I was, and I married a normie, and he was an engineer, so he was very connected with his engineering stuff and would be in the lab and working all the time. And so he's like connected with that, and he's very emotionally cut off from people. Well, that worked for me, right? Because I did not want him to know what I was doing, right? So I would just get blasted every night. I'm drinking, I'm doing meth, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm going to college, I graduated from college, all this stuff. But there's a lot of chaos, right? There's a lot of chaos in my life. And it's from me. I'm not going to marry somebody who's an addict because I needed somebody to take care of me. I could not take care of myself. I always needed somebody in my life to take care of me. That's not the case anymore. And so there's just, that long history of drinking and using, just using everything, alcohol, cocaine, meth, marijuana, and not so much. I always thought there was way better stuff out there than that. You guys, I'm an addict. I am an addict. I'm sorry, yeah. And then, so I moved to Oregon, and kind of my connection and stuff went away, so I started using pills, and I'm stealing pills, and I'm invited to somebody's house. I'm the person who's in your medicine cabinet, right? And then I had this friend, Harriet, my best friend, who has some prescriptions for some illnesses. Well, I'm stealing from her, right? And there were a couple instances with that where I kind of got clued in to, there were other hints, but I really got clued into the level of addiction here. The first one was when we were outside, and it was in the morning, and I remember that day I didn't want to use. That day I didn't want to go in. So I'm telling myself, I'm not going to, but I don't have a program. I don't have any skills. I don't know how not to use. I have nothing, except I think I can tell myself, right? So I'm just saying, I'm not going to do that. And for the first time, I heard the voice of my disease. Oh, yes, you are. I was like, what? No, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to do that today. We both know you are. Ooh, man, that was such an eye-opening experience for me. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Might be literally, might be 5 minutes, might be 10, might be 15. We both know you're going to go in there. Guess what I did? Went and grabbed the drugs. That was really kind of shocking to me to hear that voice. But that's the level I'd gotten to. There was another night when I was stolen pills again, and I'm working in the yard, and I want to save some of the drugs for the next day, right? Because I want to have the same feeling for the next day. And I can't. Every half hour, every 40 minutes, more. No, I want to save some. More. Just use all night long until they're all gone. And that was an eye-opener for me. It's like I didn't want to do that, right? I couldn't save them. Could not. So that was kind of, but these things are very enlightening for me. And then I can remember being in Harriet's yard and saying, well, I guess I'm just very cavalier. Well, I guess I'm just going to be an addict for the rest of my life. Yeah. Hubert knows my story. A couple other people do too. So, and then what happens is disease progressive. I'm doing the same things, getting in deeper, and then I get in more trouble than I've ever been in my whole life. I'm going to have to speed this along, I think. No, I'm good. I get more legal trouble than I've ever been in my whole life, right? I stole my best friend's daughter's credit card, and I racked up 38 felonies because you get charged 3 times on each purchase on the credit card. So I got a Starbucks, I went and bought a plant, and it's like, I'm not a good criminal. I am such not a good criminal. You do not want me on your team because I am just going to blow the whole scene. I'm really not good at that. Yeah. And I have a great attorney, and he says, yeah, I had to check those charges to make sure they charged you correctly. Yeah, they did. So I'm mandated to go to meetings, right? I'm given the desperation, the gift of desperation, because I know right now today, 52 years old, if I somehow get off of this, somehow by the grace of God, it's going to get worse, and I'm going to wind up, because I'm looking at a 48-month sentence just standing here right now today with these charges for, So if I somehow get this squared away, I'm headed down there, right? It's very clear to me where I am in this moment. Thank God the Justice Center, the Justice Department of Justice, Multnomah County. Thank God they mandated me to go to meetings. And I got clean at a recovery club. None of the people looked like me. They loved me. They welcomed me and told me to keep coming back. And I kind of found a little home. I was really nervous. And some people here today were there in my very first meetings. And it's just, so it seemed like people were staying clean in these things, right? And I heard people who had stories that were similar to mine, and they were staying clean. And I thought, well, maybe, just maybe, if I do all the things they're doing, then maybe I can stay clean. I didn't know if I could. There's no reason to think I could. But maybe if I did all the things, I could, went to meetings, got a sponsor, did some written work, was of service, had a higher power. Maybe I could, but I knew if I skipped on anything and I didn't make it, then, I would know that I hadn't given it my all. So I was willing to, and I have the gift of desperation, right? I need to stay clean because things are really bad. And, I heard in there that people were staying clean, 30 days, which I'd never had 30 days, 60 days, whatever, 15 years, 10 years. I was like, holy gosh. So I just was there. I was there in the morning, didn't have a job. I was there at noon. No, I didn't go in the morning. I went at noon, and then I went to 5:30 usually. And they had activities, they had dances, and all kinds of things. So if you have to get meeting slips signed, it turns out you don't have to want to get clean. That's my story. I didn't want to get clean. That was not my idea. But because I was mandated and I had to go, right? I had to get these. I was a nut, y'all. I'm going into the PO going, look, I have 30 days clean. Can you believe it? I'm sure she thought, oh my God, and who are you? I have 60 days clean. Can you believe it? So, but I was so excited. I was so glad to find a solution to my problem that I could stay, because I'm sure I never had 2 weeks in my entire life. I'm sure I never had 2 weeks. And the fact that I could get 30 days, when I hear somebody getting 30 days, just takes me back, makes me feel so hopeful and so good inside, because that's a big deal for an addict like me, or any of us really, to stop using for 30 days. It's incredible. And, if you have to get meeting slips signed, it turns out, be proud of that shit, because you can get clean. Let's see. And then I saw on the walls, you don't know if you really fit. They had the steps on the wall. Number one, we admitted we were powerless over our addiction. Well, I knew that from those 2 times I didn't want to use, and I used anyway. And our lives had become unmanageable. Clearly, if you're looking at a 48-month sentence, your life is unmanageable. Right? So that kind of hooked me in. It's like, well, maybe I do belong here. And then all the people in the meetings really gave me hope that maybe I could stay clean too. If I did so the people who were staying clean, I listened to them. I listened to everybody who was staying clean. I particularly listened to the women, hung out with the women, and if you were staying clean, man, I was about it. And I was going to do what you told me to do. And I still, to this day, if you're clean and you're my predecessor and you're somebody I'm listening to what you're telling me. Because I do not have all the information. And I'm very clear that my best thinking got me here in Narcotics Anonymous. So I need to, have some other input. Let's see. So my brother Bill, the difference in us, 11. My brother Bill was incarcerated, and I'm writing to him, right? Turns out we can get clean. This is so great. I'm in Narcotics Anonymous. There's a guy called Harry W. who's got 38 cleans who's saying blah, blah, blah. So at the end of his sentence, he asked me to go and meet him and help him. So I went and met him when he got out of prison. I didn't have a lot of money. I took the bus down to Bakersfield, and my friends are like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure?" I'm like, I don't know what they think I'm going to do, but I'm not going to go hang out with Bill. That's for darn sure. But I'm going to go help him for a minute. So we went to meetings. He got in a recovery house and all that. So Bill stayed clean for 11 years. Bill got a truck, a big fancy truck. Yes, he got a big fancy truck. He got the girlfriend. He got all the things. And then what happened to Bill is he got in a car accident at work and lost his job. He wasn't going to meetings. He didn't have a program. So that night he got loaded. And my brother Bill died a couple of years later, maybe a year later. He got us in Atlanta, California, in the desert, got his truck stuck in the sand, didn't have cell service, and died in the desert all by himself. Died of this disease. And he wasn't working a program. So when that happened and he lost his job, he didn't have anywhere to take that. So, and when he died, it was really interesting. I just kind of, when things like this happen, I really lean into the program, and I would start start doing some writing. And I remember sitting at the kitchen table and writing, just having that wash over me and giving me such a salve that I have a solution. Because if anybody dies in my family, I'm getting loaded. So this is the first time I haven't gotten loaded. And I didn't think about getting loaded for 3 days. And 3 days in, I'm like, wow, I didn't think about getting loaded. That's weird. My brother died. I'm sad. And the other thing that I saw in that time was that two things can coexist. And be really sad, and life is beautiful. So now with my friend Harriet, so what I get to do today, I'm still very good friends with her. I make a living amends to her and her family and her daughter. She's 80 years old now. She just got out of rehab, and I met her at her house when she got out, and I just get to show up for her, and I continue to make a living amends to her. And one time when I first got clean, we hadn't seen each other for about a year and a half, and we're on Interstate and Rosa Parks at the Arco station, and we are in the car for the first time together. Her purse is there. She's going to go get some gas. She takes her wallet and goes to pay for the gas. I'm in the car with 16 months clean for the first time alone, and I know what's in Harriet's purse. There's a little silver pill bottle. It's got some Vicodin, it's got some Adderall, got some Ritalin in there. And I always took that, right? I always took that. So this is the first time that I'm clean now, and I'm thinking, what did I learn in the meeting? What did I learn at the hour of power? If you don't know what to do, sit on your hands. Y'all, I literally sat on my hands. And I was, and I just sat on my hands until she got back in the car. And that worked. And I learned that in Narcotics Anonymous. I got clean in Narcotics Anonymous. I was mandated, like I told you all. Went to treatment later on, but it's just an amazing thing. It's an amazing program. I want to read some stuff before. We were addicts seeking recovery. We used drugs to cover our feelings and did whatever necessary to get drugs. Many of us woke up sick, unable to make it to work, or went to work loaded. Many of us stole to support our habit. We hurt the ones we loved. We did all the things and told ourselves, I can handle it. We were looking for a way out. I know I was. We couldn't face life on its own terms. In the beginning, using was fun. For us, using became a habit, and finally it was necessary for survival. The progression of the disease was not apparent to us. We continued on the path of destruction, unaware of where it was leading us. We were addicts and did not know it. Through drugs, we tried to avoid reality, pain, and misery. When the drugs wore off, we realized that we still had the same problems, and they were becoming worse. We sought help. We sought relief by using again and again, more drugs more often. That's my story. So so that happened with my brother Bill. Another thing that happened, yeah. So thanks. When I got clean, I got my first job. It's a little out of order, Bill was after. And I had my first apartment, right? And so had this home group was at 12. Well, I have a job now and I can't go to that home group. I got to find another one. So I go to it minute by minute and I meet some folks there. But I live in Gateway and it's way over in Goose Hollow. I don't have a car. I crashed my car when I was using it, of course. And I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm working 40 hours a week, and I pushed the barrel around for 40 hours a week. And I remember I didn't want to do that. My sponsor said, "Don't you think it's appropriate that you clean the streets of Portland?" Whoa, wow is right. I was like, I didn't have any response. I just cleaned the streets. So one Saturday I wake up, I'm really tired, right? I got Netflix now. I'm really tired. I'm tired in that I have to get on the Max and ride the Max for 40 minutes to get to Goose Hollow. I have worked 40 hours. I don't really want to do that. And I heard this other voice. It's okay if you don't want to do that. It's okay if you want to do it. But you've got to do it to keep this. So that was it. So that I was like, okay. I don't give myself a choice. I just go. I still do that today. I do all the things. I don't do them perfectly. I don't do them the best of everybody, but I'm doing all the things, and I'm always checking. I'm always checking to make sure I'm doing enough stuff to stay clean. And shout out to H&I, because it's a great way to be of service, right? So, there was a woman, one of my predecessors, who said, if you miss your home group, you better be going to a funeral, and it better be your own. So, I go to my home group. I have a home group. I go every Saturday, and it's really one of the pillars of the things that I do. I'm of service. I have a sponsor. And then, I want to kind of wrap this. What do I got? Maybe 5 minutes? 7 minutes? I've got a sponsor. I do service. I do written work. And, you guys, this is the best life I ever have dreamed of. If you would have told this 52-year-old woman when she got to the hour of power and that she was going to be able to stay clean for 16 years, I just couldn't even imagine it. I really could not imagine it. I have a wonderful life. I grew up not talking about what's really going on. Through Narcotics Anonymous, I've learned to talk about what's really going on internally, and it's still hard for me. Mostly what things will happen is, a lot of time it's around something I've done that maybe I'm embarrassed or ashamed of, and I'll go, you guys I'll go and sit next to one of my friends, and I'll say, well, I don't really want to tell you this. And then I'll spit it out, right? Because if I say I don't want to tell you this, then I'm committed, right? Then I'm going to have to tell you. And then I tell them what's going on, and it's never been badly received. I've never had my feelings hurt. And anytime I'm in trouble, like when my brother died, and just the way that they show up, and they're just really present, and they guide me in ways that are just absolutely astounding. And I get to talk about what's really going on. And here in Narcotics Anonymous, we have a common language, and that's really helpful for being able to be vulnerable. And what I didn't realize that vulnerability builds intimacy. And I have really wonderful relationships, and it's only because of Narcotics Anonymous, because I didn't grow up learning how to talk about what was really going on or how to be vulnerable or any of that stuff. I know how to show up for people, but I didn't really know how to expose myself and my heart to them or to anyone, really. So Harriet was in the nursing home. I went and stayed with her. I was just able to really show up and not, it's a hard time for her. And, she still has all those narcotics, and not once did I feel triggered. Not once did I want to take. It's kind of stressful, but it just didn't happen for me. It just didn't happen like that. What it used to be, it used to show up in irritability and being snippy and short. But I did not do that either. I've been working really a lot on that, and just really watching my tone. Thanks, Roger. And just being present with people. And when you're here, it's a really amazing life. It's, I have wonderful friends. I have this life that I love. I have a program of recovery. I have meaningful things that go on in my life. And so right before I was leaving to go to Harriet, something happened where I work. And so, you go through death in the program. And it turns out I lost my job on Friday. And I was fired. And I don't really think that it's fair that I got fired. But that almost doesn't even enter into it, right? What enters into it is they think it's fair. And so I have to be in acceptance. And luckily what I've done in the last few years is really plan. Because I was planning on retiring in like a year. So I got things really set up pretty well. Financially, I'll be okay. And it's just that whole thing about changing. Like I was doing this, now I'm not going to do that. But I'll tell you what, not once have I thought about getting loaded. I used to always get loaded over stuff like that, all the time. I don't want to get loaded. And I'm not being a victim, and I'm not saying, those people, da. No, it's not personal. They made a business decision. They get to do that. And now I'm over here, I'm going to do this other thing. And I don't exactly know what that other thing is yet, but I have some ideas. I've been thinking about it. Like I said, I've been thinking about retiring. And so I'm not sure what it's going to look like, and that's a tiny bit frightening for me. But here's the thing, I've got a higher power, and I'm always okay. I'm always taken care of. I don't think things are good, and I don't want to get loaded. And that is the best gift in the world. That's no longer my solution. That was the only coping skill I had. It was always my solution. And I'm just super grateful to be here with you all. And if you're here, give yourself a chance. If you're on medication-assisted treatment, I'm glad you're here. You're welcome, wanted, and needed. Don't let what people tell you keep you out of here. You belong here. We're glad you're here. If you're loaded in this room, I'm glad you're here. All the things. Because this is where it happens. This is where the magic happens. This is where the relationships happen. And we get to, share our lives together and just kind of go through all of it together. And it's not always great, right? Things happen even when you're clean. Bad things happen. Things that are really upsetting happen. And it turns out you don't have to get loaded over it. So with that, I'm going to read my last bit. Yes, we are a vision of hope. We are examples of the program working. The joy that we have in living clean is an attraction to the addict who still suffers. We do recover to live clean and happy lives. Welcome to NA. The steps do not end here. The steps are a new beginning. Thanks for letting me share.